Chicago. A city with super wealthy and safe suburbs, really awesome, fun, but dangerous downtown, and of course, some of the worst neighborhoods in the whole country. It wasn't really that run down.
Yeah, look at the grass, so unkept, weeds everywhere. These ANSI, oh, these guys. You could just take a lawnmower and go over here and start cutting some grass instead of wasting your time on the internet. Go help out your community, right? The same way you tell us to go fix our countries, even though we are, even in absentia, we're sending money back, we're building businesses, we're helping people. I have employees in Zambia. I have people that I employ. So I would expect that they will do something like this. Go out there, cut the grass, sweep it up, make it look good, teach some kids some common sense. No, they're not.
But of course, after hours, this place is a circus. We'll begin in Harvey. Now, if you're familiar with Chicago, the area I went here in Harvey is around 153rd Street and Broadway generally, and just kind of meander around through the heart of the worst part of Harvey. The South Side is known for murders and shootings and gangs. They don't measure shootings by year or by month in places like this. They're measured by the weekend. Last year in Chicago, there were almost 800 murders, and in Cook County, there were like 875 people who were killed by gunfire. It's not getting any better either. Last year in Chicago was the worst year ever for murders and gunfire. Shootings here were up by 50% last year, just like they are in many other inner cities in this country. There were 3,700 shootings in Chicago last year, which is more than 10 a day, and those are the ones that are reported. Of course, there's many more shootings and much more gunfire than the ones that are called into the cops. People are getting carjacked here all the time. And a lot of this madness is happening here on the south side of town. In fact, it was down here in Harvey where the first person in the Chicago area was killed this year, just 12 minutes after midnight on New Year's morning. In Harvey, they shoot at the cops. They'd probably shoot at me too if they felt like it. I mean, I'm just driving around here. Every 4 days, a cop gets shot at that they know of. Average residents have a 1 in 84 chance of being the victim of a murder, a shooting, an assault, or a rape. This is the deadliest place you can live in suburban Chicago, where murders happen every other week and somebody gets shot at every.
I went to school in Illinois. People don't know that. I picked this, but Saga, I see you, man. I'm subscribed to Nick too. I went to school in Illinois. Chicago was my first city that I moved to when I came to America. So I was an Illinois resident for quite some time. And I still go back to Illinois. Actually, I went to pick up my mom. My mom came from Chicago yesterday because my brother lives out there. Picked up my mom yesterday. So Chicago is a very familiar place to me. It's not gotten any better. Not gotten any better. So this is why I'm saying, like, I'm not rejoicing their losses, but I'm not optimistic that they can fix it. I'm not optimistic that they can fix it, because if they were going to really be able to fix it, the prerequisites that is required, like the Rwandese example that we just played, these people don't have that. They've never had that. They were only taught excuses. When you're taught excuses, there's no motivation to effect that change. That's the difference. They are taught excuses. Every other community is looking, including the Africans, even the poorest Asians, every group is looking at the next step and trying to get better. These guys were given freedoms, resources to participate in this US economy. And for years before the immigrants arrived, they made excuses that they were not progressing because of the color of their skin. Then all these brown and black skinned people came from the Caribbean and Africa and proved that narrative wrong. So then now all of a sudden we are their enemies because we didn't come here and live in places like this and stayed poor. You know, if we came here, we stayed poor and we lived in places like this, then it's going to make sense. You know, then they'll be like, oh, yeah, you know, you guys are just like us, your bottom, no issues. Yeah. It's because we killed that narrative of those excuses that they've made. And some of their people also killed the narrative because not every black people, you know, there's 10% of them that don't live like this. There's 10% of them that have understood the game and are moving towards something more serious and not doing the stereotypical bullshit. But to try to ignore all these things, this is just one city of America. It gets worse as you go. Every city in America where they are congregated is chaos. And this is compared to the Africans that don't have anything that they're building. They have natural resources, but a lot of that has to be tapped with science technology that they don't have. That this is why they started sending some of us abroad on scholarships to learn so that we can help with these problems, right? And most people go back, after a few years of being in academia and teaching at the university, paying into the American system that gave you something. People wrap it up and say, hey, now let me go spend the next 20 years in my home country and give back. And this is 80% of our politicians have come from the US and the UK. They go back and they give back. But these shallow minds don't understand that. Do you ever go back to the hood? No, they don't. As soon as they get money, they all leave the hood. This is why look, this guy has been driving for a few blocks now. None of the grass is cut. All over the damn place. None of the grass is cut. You can't even see any people because of how dangerous it is out there. You got to be inside.
Every night. Now, sometimes there's going to be spikes and shootings when new gangs move into town, but the Chicago Police Department says that's not what's happening. They're just...
Oh, yeah. We got black businesses. Look at those businesses, bro. You think they're selling anything over there? Salute to you, KF. You think these guys are selling anything of value in these stores? They are no humans because it's so dangerous out there in Harvey. There are no humans, man. Where are the humans?
Unrelated and random, but apparently it's a loss of cops that's played a big part in the spike of crime here in the south side of Chicago. They laid off a bunch of cops.
Look at that building's got no roof. Over here talking about some damn Africans. Get the fuck out of here, bro. We live here, we see it, bro. We live here and we see it. This is 2020. When did Nick go over there? Let's see. 4 years ago. Okay? 4 years ago. What is this? 2026. So 2022, he went out there. Post-COVID. These buildings have no roof on it. The board is off. The shingles are off. It looks like the building is even collapsing. It looks like it's leaning the other way. Grass unkept. Brushes and bushes everywhere. This is how these blacks are living in Chicago, in one of the most prosperous cities in America. In 2022, this is how they were living. Talking about, oh, you Africans, they can't get the fuck out of here, bro. What are you talking about? You live in all the resources that white America has put into these communities. Look how they're living. Look at this shit. Talking about Hutus and the Tutsis. If your culture is fine, how come the Hutus and the Tutsis? Well, the Hutus and the Tutsis built Rwanda. And it's so clean and beautiful right now. And all it took was 30 years. Actually, they built this stuff like 15 years ago. Kigali was already up there. Well, the Maya did a big video about it. One of the videos that got his channel to the top was his video in Rwanda. So it's been like this. They got this like in the mid 2000s. They had already started reconstructing and rebuilding, and they did it with Rwandese labor, Rwandese hands. Part of their reconciliation program, some of them go in and help other communities, like they have programs where they go and help each other. Salute to you, Chaotic. They go over there and they help each other. The people that were killing each other are now helping each other. They're getting married, and they've built Kigali. And other African nations are watching Rwanda and say, hey, we can do it. Heck, they even have an airline. And it's so beautiful when you fly Rwanda. Beautiful. Fly Rwanda from Kigali to London. Beautiful flight with authentic, beautiful African food. They have power. They have a country. They are in control. Over here, you're a minority. We gave you an olive branch, which was Pan-Africanism, so that we can welcome you into the bigger black diaspora. And you came there, you're trying to do big boy with your bullshit. Look at the state of your community. This was in 2022 on the South Side, and I know it's not gotten any better. I know for a fact because I went to school in Chicago, in Illinois. Okay? Let's keep watching. Buildings boarded up, no shopping or no stores. Walmart can't even go into these communities to serve them shit. This is America, the number one economy on the planet. And all these places are earmarked for government resources. So the US government, our taxes, including immigrant taxes, go into these communities. But whenever they give you leadership to take care of these taxes, you eat up the money, you are corrupt, you spend that shit, and then you point fingers at each other, you're all bullshit at the national level. And then at your individual levels, you can't even stay married. You can't build families. This is why I said I have no hope. I go to Colombia and I see the Afro-Colombians, and I'm very hopeful because I know what they're capable of. I come over here and I see these guys, I'm not hopeful, bro. They can't make any change. Black America is going to be forever like this. Mark it on the wall. I bet anything on it. I'll bet anything on it. Put up an open bet somewhere that in the next 10 years, Black America's statistics are going to improve 10%. Now lie, it will never happen. The only way it happens is if they confuse the statistics and add immigrant blacks to their numbers. This is why I said that delineation would have helped us, because that's the only reason why those numbers have corrected 2 or 3% up. But their pull down is so enormous that even our 2-3% up usually sits there for about a year and it comes right back down to where it was. Because we can't even give it that much support with all the success that we've brought to America. We can't give it that much support. Because there's a lot more of them below average. That even if you push it to average, they're always going to push that number down. These people don't know how to build anything, man. I was saying it, when I said it then, they thought it was a lie. And okay, now I'm giving you real, footages and videos. And this is a very intellectual conversation. Nobody's pointing fingers at anything. I'm just giving them a reminder of how far back they are. And this has got nothing to do with racism and all these isms that they come up with. And they know this. These guys are they're already defeated. They know this was a problem. They knew they didn't have the solutions. This is why they gave them that script to always use racism and all these things as excuses not to do shit. They threw in the towel about 30, 40 years ago. From the crack epidemic, okay? The crack epidemic and then the crack babies followed. That's when they threw in the towel. Their Gen Z is starting to correct a little bit in the suburbs, the ones that have made it out to the suburbs. But that number is so small. And a lot of the times, when you look at those kids, their last names, they're Nigerians. And then you're like, oh my God. Then you lose hope. You look at their last names, they're Nigerians, Liberians. They're like, oh my God. This is why they are celebrating one man that won a marathon. These guys are celebrating one guy who beat one Kenyan in a marathon. Go and look at the world records. Does anybody run marathons and long distance more than Kenyans and Ethiopians? No, absolutely not. If you put it on the scales of percentages, between these two countries, they've won long distance races 99.9% of the time. And anytime Americans have won, like Atin Mo, they are South Sudanese. Or they've come from Ethiopia. And you're celebrating one guy because he beat a Kenyan. It's okay. The Kenyan came second. That's just fine. You got one on them. That's it. That is because you don't have anything left. That still goes into the same category of sports and entertainment. But outside of those two, you are not exceptional. And the reason a lot of people go into those two is, frankly, it's easy because you have time on your hands. Okay, the best entertainers are people that got time on their hands. When we were busy going to school and doing our homework, they're in a corner somewhere making rap music. And when you do it at a such younger age, that's the only thing. All your energy is in one area, so you're gonna do well. But if you notice something, a lot of them don't even know how to manage their money, so they end up getting, like whites and other groups to manage their money for them because they haven't built an overall, all-rounded talent, except for the one thing that they spend most of their lives on. This is why they dominate in entertainment. And the other reason that they dominate in sports is because physically, they are more physical compared to the other groups. The people of African descent are usually physically more, resistant to and have muscles that can run these races and do these difficult sports. So it's the gift of nature. It's not something they've acquired. It's a gift of nature. The other one, the entertainment part of it, is situational. It doesn't require a lot of hard work. That's why when they come out of sports, they become obese. In a week or two, they get fat. Serena Williams is an example. She's on Ozempic, okay? Triggered by a cotton ball at a 5-star hotel. Excuses. This is who they are, bro. This is who they are. Look at their streets.
Because of a budget shortfall and because they held a lot of money back during negotiations. So they didn't have a lot of money, so they had to lay cops off. And a bunch of other cops retired too. You can't blame them. So
yeah, look at that building. All the concrete is falling off the side of the building. That building right there where it says bakery, that's the business they are running in Black America. Look at their businesses. This is their businesses, man. This is what they are running in Black America, bro.
Yet again, we have proof that defunding the police has huge negative repercussions. And all those Chicago cops that quit, I mean, can you really blame them?
Look at all that, bro. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, why wouldn't they quit when you're always being shot when you go to work? Would you work there as a cop yourself? Hell no. Of course they have to quit. It's not a bad. This is what I'm saying. These are what I call black excuses. They're gonna blame, say things like, what do you call it? These are budget issues.
Even the Chicago Tribune acknowledged less cops on the south side of Chicago is a bad idea. Of course, having less cops on the streets makes it look like the criminals can do whatever they want.
And I tell you what, look, if you look at the architecture of these buildings, because I lived in Illinois, and anybody that has lived in the Midwest can attest to this, right? All these buildings were built by white people. Okay, this is really typical standard North American, but Northern European building architecture. This is one of those things where they've built it out because these are very old buildings, right? They've built it out. They move into other neighborhoods. And then these areas become poorer, and then the blacks move in. And then they kind of move around it. Sometimes there are government programs or welfare systems, or they make some of those places welfare eligible for housing discounts or whatever. And then that brings more and more of them in, and then they take over these neighborhoods and they become heavily black cities. Then they take control over it, and they don't add on to it. Even if they earmark budgets to these places, they don't add on to it. And it gets cheaper and it gets cheaper because the conditions get bad, right? If the conditions are bad, then more people don't want to pay for horrible spots. So it gets cheaper. It gets cheaper. When White's building maybe was a $2,000 a month rent, when they start to leave and the blacks move in, the prices start to drop because nobody wants to live in a place like that but them. Then it goes lower and lower. And then once a crime comes in and it gets dangerous, The prices come down to where it's like $300 or abandoned and nobody wants to live there because who wants to get shot at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And this is what these places become. Then eventually, because they don't, like I said, there's only 6% of them that are in construction anyway, you find that they don't renovate anything. They don't have the money to get contractors to renovate. They live with what was given to them. This is why they look at the sidewalks. Heck, they can't even trim a tree. That tree and the power line is almost coming together. Didn't get pruned and didn't get straightened out so that it grows upward like here in the suburbs. You see, they actually train the trees so they grow a certain way. I guess this white folks been out of Southside Chicago probably for like 60 years already. So when this oak plant was growing, they didn't train it to come right. Look at the trimming that is done right here on the left, on that little tree. That's horrible. Look at the sidewalks. All the concrete is out. Okay? So these people don't maintain anything. This is your typical playbook of a we was. We don't, they take credit for little things, get excited about little things. But when we talk about real complex issues that build communities and build societies, these people don't have the training and the clue to do it. The only shot is to come back and learn from the Africans. That's the only way they can do it. We are the only ones that can teach them how to do this stuff. Because we've been doing it, even without corruption and without problems. The colonialists didn't leave much of infrastructure. I mean, look at the picture of Accra in 1955. And look at the picture of Accra in 2024. Completely different cities. Everything that has been built in Accra has been built by Ghanaians. Jamestown and the neighborhoods that were heavily British, they are pretty much one of our poorest neighborhoods now. They are not occupied by our richest class. So we built most of these African cities ourselves. We have the built talent. So for you guys that are in the diaspora, when you've built your homes at home, who is your labor? Isn't it other Africans that are building your homes? Even me in my village in Zambia, the guys that built these homes are Zambians. Like literally brickwork, roofing, everything done by Zambians. So they can only come back and learn these things from us. With their egos, no egos, don't give a damn. But that's just the truth. They don't know how to do this stuff, man. They're not built for this stuff.
It also means when you're not paying cops enough and you're laying them off, the officers are going to have a low morale and they're not going to want to go out and work hard for a city that they don't think has their back. So even more cops quit. One city leader said that he thought the criminals looked at the layoffs and they were like, we can do whatever we want. I mean, if you think you're going to get caught, you won't commit a crime. And if you think that you're going to...
Look at these houses over there, man. This is how these black people are living in America. Potholes. Over here talking about Africa. Get the fuck out of here, man. Are you kidding me? I mean, I knew it was bad because I don't go to these places, but really? Can't even clean around a fire hydrant? Like, just get a lawnmower, man. And CEO. Take some of that YouTube money. What's the other what's this guy's name? The guy that does this in his video. Take some of that money and go to your community. Get a lawnmower, get a few YNs and FBAs, the Tariq Nasheeds. Instead of giving that money to hidden colors, use that money to get a lawnmower, go to the south side of Chicago and get on a community program and start mowing your lawns and cleaning up your sidewalks. If you can't do this shit, then you didn't build America, because building America takes a whole lot. You can't even cut grass and you built America. You can fix potholes. You're just patching it up with some bucket that you bought from Home Depot in your neighborhoods. You can patch it up. Look at the potholes. Look at how they patch these potholes. They just bought bitumen at Home Depot and poured it right up there, which I think the city probably did. They are not trimming their trees. All the homes over there are boarded up. Look at these homes. That house needs shingles for their roof. It hasn't had shingles probably for 30 or 40 years by just looking at it. You can't even maintain what the white man gave you. Over here talking about we built America. Well, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about, man? Why has this become a debate? Why has this become a debate, man? You guys need to get serious. You really have to get serious, man. You really have to get serious. There's a lot of work to be done. And what I think is you're going to need a coalition to turn things around. You got to come to us, your daddies, okay, from the Black Factory. You got to come to us so that we start at the family level. We start teaching you the importance of family. You use family in all your FBA videos. What's our family? What's our family? No, you're not a family. Families don't live like this. Shooting up each other, not cutting the grass. You don't eat together. At least Africans, you mock our food. We eat with our hands, but we eat together. We sit around each other, we eat together. You think it's disgusting, but it's not. It's family building. We are around our kids. You guys hear my kids play in the background. We are raising them every day and giving them the game, teaching them how to do things so that they become very useful citizens and maybe, do things the right way, and they're going to pass it down to their children. You guys need to come to us so that you get this thing figured out. We are the only ones that can help you. Okay, so take your egos out, come to the Africans, and start at the base level. Let's start teaching you guys how to build families and how to raise children. We need to give you parenting skills. The FBA can't even change a smoke detector. Hey, you ain't lying, man. I see them do TikTok videos and beep, beep, beep.
Didn't like that because they're losing money. Too bad, club owners. You're where a lot of the violence starts. So cut off the booze at midnight.
None of these things you are seeing here was built by a black man. Not even one thing. Not the car, not the road, not the electricity infrastructure, nothing. In Africa, at least, we built all our stuff. We built all our stuff with our own hands, with some resources, by selling some natural resources, but we built, the work is done by us. We built a lot of these things. If it's very serious infrastructure project, maybe some top tier level bridge, sometimes we get donations that the Japanese or the Chinese would donate a bridge and then they'll bring their own engineers to build it, or the Germans will. But those are very minimal. It's not, I would say 90% of our infrastructure is built by us. It's our civil engineer. It's our architects. Our guys are building all the apartments and the houses. It's built by us. Right here, looking at the hood, none of this is built by them.
Do whatever you have to do. They need to do something here.
This is America, fellas. This is the world's #1 economy. Look at how some of their people are living. This is sad, man.
So now we're going to go to another really bad part of the
Oh,
south
no,
side
not
of
Inglewood.
Inglewood. Now, Harvey's a city, but Inglewood's actually a neighborhood. Now, the population here in Inglewood has gone down a lot. This neighborhood used to have 100,000 people in 1960, and now there's only about 30,000 people here, and you can understand why. I mean,
yeah, they are fleeing. They make it dangerous and they flee.
when there's as much violence here in Inglewood as anywhere else in Chicago, many people call Inglewood.
You see what a black man spends his money on? Look, go back. You see? Right here.
I mean, when there's as much violence here in Inglewood as anywhere else in Chicago.
They're spinning. Look at this shitty car, right? Like a Buick or a Chevy, some shitty $300 car. Look at the wheels and the rims that this guy has put on. But then they won't clean their streets. Look at all the trash around the house. But he had money to put. This is what their priorities are, Brian.
Chicago. Many people call Inglewood the murder capital of Chicago. Now, when you drive around Inglewood, it seems like every 10 minutes you hear a siren from a cop car or an ambulance. This is the type of place where 12-year-old kids run around at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, just without their parents around, just doing whatever they want.
Yeah, because there are no parents. There are no parents